Okay, so where I last left off, this guy, Black Peter, got killed, skewered by harpoon. He resisted using a knife. It doesn't mean that it's his knife. Now, the person who stabbed him had to use an incredible amount of force to use a harpoon to puncture straight through him. So the person has to be either a big person or they use a machine, which, how would they get a machine in here in order to use a harpoon? My guess is he was already killed before the harpoon was lodged into him, because unless it's a big guy that wears considerably large boots, he was probably killed before the harpoon was lodged into his body. So that's what I'm going on. And I have two locations that I'm going to go to. And those two locations are the whaling area,
Hammerfest.
Hammerfast, and
Dundee.
this other whaling area, Dundee. Or his location from Dundee going to Hammerfest. So yeah, Hammerfest. So the killer could be here, or it could be here. It'd be more interesting if the killer was at Hammerfest, because then you get a high seas situation where the killer would probably try to throw away a lot of evidence, hoping that a whale would eat it or some crazy shit like that. But there's only two suspects. One, a mysterious man that's unknown, or a mysterious person that is unknown, and the wife. It's just highly unlikely that she would do something like that. She carries a rosary with her everywhere. He might not have been a very religious person, but she was. So it's highly unlikely that she would commit any crime. So the crime will have to be done from someone either related to her or a perfect different stranger. So she's still a suspect, but it's hard for me to see her doing something like that unless she has a way of actually fooling people, being the type of person she was. Which means maybe she gave up on her religious belief all the time, or maybe it's 100% reaffirmed because she realized she's done something wrong. Who knows? I don't think it's her, but it's very foolish to not think it's her. So I'll talk to this detective or inspector.
Have you finished inspecting the crime scene?
Yes, I have finished
Have
inspecting
you
the
finished
crime,
inspecting the crime scene?
but he's asking it again, so maybe I should just do one more once over. A box used to be here, but it's not there anymore. Things present. Perception. Alright, so I examine him.
This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong.
Yes. Which is, like I said, it would be hard to believe that if he was to get lodged in the stomach with a harpoon, the person who's doing it has to be very stronger than him, since he looks still strong. So it would have to be something, an illusion of a situation. Death was probably from poison, and then the planting of the knife on the floor show signs of resistance, and then the lodging of this into the person's chest show the person who's used it applied force to it. But there's no fingerprints on the harpoon.
Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon.
Like back then, they didn't probably had fingerprints, so you had to do deduction instead of fingerprints. Probably didn't open the notebook like I should have. Wonder why Holmes can't open the notebook. Does it really matter if I open it or not? I guess not.
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey.
Well, let's see about that. If it was lying on the floor, the blood would splatter on top, and the blood on the floor would leak into it, into the pages around here. But that does make sense. It was dropped instead of, if it was on the floor, there would be blood splatter on it. So Holmes did it again. That's pretty good. No. What else? Doesn't seem to be anything else. Random noise in the background. Sounds of the wind, crickets. Well, not crickets, bugs. A regular floor, wooden floor, regular wooden walls, fireplace, the whole 9 yards. Pictures. Nothing much else. I think I'm pretty much.
Peter Carey was impaled.
Yes. There's nothing else. I already know about the two glass, but I didn't. I think
The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work.
Oh, so he kept that. Oh,
Rum. A sailor.
okay.
Someone drank. Someone.
Sealskin, huh? Well, he probably did that himself. Or it was probably a random tobacco pouch for most sailors. They use sealskin.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The murder weapon was probably taken from this rack. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded.
Have you finished inspecting the crime scene?
These boots don't match the footprints.
Okay, so it's not standard at all. Carrie, it wasn't Carrie's footprints. Even though he was a gardener, it's not his footprints, which I suspected it would have probably been his own boots that's there before, but I've also suspected if it wasn't his own boots, then it definitely was someone present there. Someone definitely came here. But why would they leave their own footprints? It's so obviously something, an obvious footprint for someone to see. Too obvious. As if it was intentional. The wife and the mystery person is still a suspect. I kinda knew that it was either one or two things. Carrie's boots, and it was nothing. And if it wasn't Carrie's boots, and it was something, then it is a person that showed up here. I find it hard to believe that the wife would go through all that trouble to set all this up. Plant boots here, kill him, and then use the harpoon to look like someone used force. No, it seems like someone actually did this. So, was I right in my first investigation? Yes. I was right in my first investigation. The person who did the gardening was Peter Carey. If not, if they didn't have a gardener, then it's obviously him or his wife that did the gardening. Then, second one, deduction was the wife itself. Was she, is it possible that she was a religious person? Yes, due to the rosary that she had around her arm. So she probably met him somewhere, but I didn't know. Holmes had to figure that out. And of course the third one is the boots. I said before, if the boots did not fit, then it's definitely not Carrie. Black Peter was walking there, because then it will be obvious that he was the person that was walking and he was the one doing the guarding. That means that there was someone there, someone watching, probably watching right now. So this is a very interesting place to have your garden. So many spots, so many vanishing points. And of course, the wife, which is highly unlikely, she'll go through all that trouble. So that's that. So would he say,
Have you finished inspecting the crime scene?
Okay, so what else do we have? So the boots, don't match. Alright, so I got two objects left. I have this and I have this. Tobacco pouch and outline in dust. So the only way I could find out if an object was removed from inside of the room is to check around the house, or to check where the wife is staying right now. Highly unlikely that the wife would take the tobacco unless she hates tobacco and had some tobacco. Doesn't seem likely. So would I find tobacco elsewhere? Let's try to see if we could find tobacco elsewhere. Let's see by boots. We'll check
These footprints appear to be quite large.
No shit, Sherlock. I'm looking for something else. Tobacco. We'll check around the house. Actually, let me check this again.
This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here.
Yes, I know that.
Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook.
That's two on the nose. That's two on the nose. I have a notebook and I have my own engraved. My own personal engraving in the notebook that's finely done. Well carved, well crafted. That's too on the nose for it to be someone's personal notebook, which means this person is personally important. Now, scratching it and carving it in, that's one thing. But engraved into a notebook, it has to be someone important. If someone important dropped it here. But why would they drop their own notebook and leave? They left out of panic. I stabbed this guy with a harpoon or with a knife and then pretend that I stabbed him with a harpoon, but then I lodged a harpoon into his chest and then I took off and dropped my notebook, possibly out of panic. But how would a notebook drop from you? Notebooks don't just drop out of your pocket. They were either present in an exchange between two people and it fell. I either read something in between, something in the notebook, or it was outside on the table the whole time during the scuffle. So this person is important. It was probably Peter Carey's, and the initials were probably the person or company he worked for when he was a captain. Initials of the company rep. Okay, so at least now on the side of the spotlight, the mystery of the spotlight of the person who possibly killed him is either a company man. That's part of his whole whaling thing. Okay, let's head. ASM abbreviations.
These abbreviations mean something, but what?
The notebook found on crime scene with the initials JHN. There are following abbreviations inside: ASM, TY, BRS. Yes, but ASM had like coordinate numbers. These are all coordinate numbers, or if not coordinate numbers, I would say inventory number. But it doesn't seem, the game doesn't seem to care about the numbers. It seems to only care about the abbreviations. How many, because he was the captain, or their log, their documental log with regards to them working for the company. A documental type thing with regards to initials of the persons or persons, or coordinates for each individuals where they actually both are whaled at. So that's what I'm getting from this. So if this actually belonged to someone else, listing individuals who were supposed to follow us a set amount of coordinates or a set amount of standards with regards to doing certain things within the company, and maybe Peter Carey, when he was captain, he either lost something from one of these people or took something from one of these people, or the company thinks Peter Carey took something from one of these people, and they sent someone here to take care of Peter Carey because he stole something. And you were one of these people, you were the captain. So we went from every single person that was part of the ship, and turns out that the captain was the one that took it. So they killed him and took back the property which the captain stole. But that's the wide theory. The underlying theory is that the property that Peter Carey had belonged to someone, one of these initials right here. Tobacco pouch, sealskin, Peter Carey. Now, this could be Peter Carey's tobacco pouch, which obviously has his name on it. Or it could be the tobacco pouch of the killer who was working on his ship during that time. And of course, the object that was removed. Perhaps. So the second page says just perhaps. A box or a small chest, perhaps. Yeah, so it could have been a treasure that they found, and someone wanted to keep it, and Peter Carey says no, they can't keep it. The game is called Crimes and Punishments, so He probably took it as a punishment to the person who committed a crime. But if the person committed a crime, then that person would have been executed or banished. So maybe Peter Carey is the one that committed a crime, and he was never punished for it until someone found him and killed him. Okay, so look, it does not mean that the object that was taken um, is more associated with what Peter Carey did as a career than anything associated with his wife. She woke up at 7 or left the house at 7. She didn't go in to see him until 10. And overnight, or should I say that same day, the cops came and investigated, and overnight someone came to, I guess, to retrieve the chest. I wonder if the cops knew that the chest was taken prior to the person coming back to grab the chest. Would they share that information with me? I don't know. Okay, so what we have here, L3, R3 for help. Okay, so I'm going to press L3 and R3. Pinned to the wall. Pinned to the wall. Peter Carey's body was impaled to the wall with a harpoon. No gardener. Judith says her husband took care of the garden. That does not sound festival or feasible. She might be hiding something. Well, that does make sense. I mean, it would make sense that he would be doing gardening, but I mean, at the same time, he would. Like, why would he not do? Well, that also doesn't sound feasible. He was a whaling person, and a proud person, an alcoholic. It's hard to see him doing gardening, unless because he seems more trapped with regards to his past and retired. So it seems less likely that he would become a gardener. So once again, the whole gardening thing is very strange. So what am I supposed to do with gardening? Find a pair of related clues. They will form a deduction. Red color signifies unachievable clue combination. I've selected it. Oh, okay, so I have to. What do I have to select? The gardener. Garden pinned to the wall doesn't seem more likely. Break-in attempts. No gardener. Let's say pinned to the wall. Associated with the break-in attempts. No, not feasible. Okay, so the person who's okay. Let's go with gardener then. No gardener. Ah, I know. I know the notebook is the notebook's attached to break-in attempts. This makes sense because the notebook could have been dropped, not when the crime happened, but during the break in the temp. What the hell? Some of the facts may be interpreted differently and can always change the picture of a crime by choosing between. Wait. Draw a picture. What? Draw a clear picture of the crime, forming deductions. Track down the guilty party.
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry. The ship's lock.
Mr. Holmes?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing?